on. Hang on, a situation here. Let me do this side first. There. Let's see. Hold it right there. There's my rubber mallet that was on the motor.
I'll put everything up. You told me to put everything up.
No, did I?
Welcome to D.I.Y. Automotive School with my friend Pete and Minnie, the body shop girl. It's everything you need to know about cars and more.
Okay, yes, that was that. Now, very careful, this windshield. Now, close your way. Okay, we just got done bolting the hood on. Let's let it down. We don't know if the fenders might need adjusted in and out, but let's see how everything lines up. It looks like the fenders are lining up pretty good. What do you think, Minnie?
I don't know. Set it down.
If you look right here, the way this aftermarket fender is lining up, you can see that this is a little bit higher than this. That's what we want, okay? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you can see that the aftermarket fender, if you come down here, you can see that it lines up. Now, of course, we still have to do a little bit of adjusting on it. Wait a second, boy, we're going in a minute. Now, if you come over here, you can see that the fender is lower than the hood. And you also see that it's a little bit high here, but it's too low here. Now, the way that you cure that, all right, is if you come over here, and I remember that when I took that fender off, it did have shims in it. And there is a shim under this fender right here. I don't know if you can catch the lip of that right there. That's a shim. And there was two of them under there. I can't find the other one. So when I shim that back up, it'll bring the hood to where it's supposed to be. But the situation we have is everything's lining up great. Everything looks great. And I got Axel hollering and screaming at me that he wants to go in. It's about 10 o'clock at night. Yes! I hear you. We got it lined up. Everything's lined up. It's all lining up. And if the fenders and the hood line up, then we know the rest of it's going to line up. Because the core support bolts to the outside of the fenders, the bumper bolts to the core support, and then of course the bumper cover bolts to the fenders. I gotta go. I got a mad little child over here bothering me, saying he wants to go in and he's hungry and wants to eat. We'll see you later. Take it easy. Our Mustang's looking great. Everything's looking good. The next step that we'll take on this is we're going to weld it up. Yes, yes, sir. We're going to weld it up and hopefully start putting it all back together. This is Pete, my friend Pete, your friend Pete. We'll see you later. Alright, there's one more thing that I want to do before I take off the two fenders. Now, I will leave the hood bolted on there to make sure that everything lines up as we're welding it on and to keep everything in line, but I think we're going to be all right. But I want to go ahead. This is called a core support, all right? And I'm sorry, did I say core support? That is a core support. This is called a header panel. This is a headlight header panel, and what this does, this bolts to the core support and the fenders. Okay, this is where the fender would line up on the outside edge. And what we want to do, we want to make sure that this lines up before we take all that off, just to double check and make sure everything's still in line. And I see that we had a fucking broken piece on there. Like I said, all I want to do is line this up. Make sure that it lines up where it's supposed to go. And there you go, just like that. So now we see that everything lines up good, everything's looking good, and we can go ahead and remove our fenders, take the fenders off. We're going to leave the hood on and start welding it back together. Alright, we're going to start welding in this area here. Now we're not going to concentrate on the frame rail down here. We're going to do that last. But what we want to do, we want to go ahead and start clamping everything down and welding it all back together so we got a nice, sound, solid steel structure. Alright, once you got everything hammered, dollied in place how you want it, you want to get a couple C-clamps. Go ahead and C-clamp it in between where you're going to weld it. And what this is doing, this is going to hold, this will hold our, that one's too big. This will hold our piece in place while we weld it together. You want to make sure that you get very good penetration. When I say penetration, you don't just want to weld the little hole up, you want to make sure that it melts it together. Okay, that's very, very important to do that. I'm going to take my hammer and my dolly one more time. I'm going to get that where it's nice and clean. It's got a nice good look to it, and it looks like factory. Now I would like to explain one thing here. None of this will be seen. Okay, all this will be hidden underneath, but that doesn't mean that you don't stop taking your time and doing a proper job, because if you get sloppy here, what's going to happen? You're going to carry the sloppiness with you to the outside of the vehicle. Always do the best job you can do and use the professionality that it takes to do it right. Problem right here. Let's see where this. Now naturally, as we're pounding this, you see that I'm not using my dolly on this due to the fact that, you know, you got this much space here, okay? So it would be useless. Basically, the only time the dolly does come in handy is when you're using, like right here in this area, you can take that dolly and put it on that thin piece of metal there. And do you see what I just did there? I got that back in place just like it's supposed to be. But as far as using a dolly, you know, between a wide area like we got here, this is solid enough where you don't need the dolly. So we'll go ahead and repeat our process using our C-clamp to clamp it down, and then go ahead and weld this in place. Because there's several layers in between this, I don't know if you can see that. We want to make sure that all them layers are welded back together. And when you're welding upside down like that, the proper way to do it is to set your speed on your welder and to set the heat range to the proper dial in, you might call it. And if you do that properly, you shouldn't have no problems, because if your heat range is too high, what's going to happen is whatever you're welding is just going to fall off, just like my mask did. It's going to fall down. But if you have everything set properly, you shouldn't have no problems, and you have to be very quick when you are welding upside down. So let's get the rest of this area right here. Welded back in place where it goes. And I see right here, this has got to be welded. It's got to be welded good, because there's several layers, once again, that we have to make sure it's done right. Now that we got that welded in, what we want to do, we want to concentrate up here where we had it screwed on. So I'll take my welder, and there's approximately 4 or 5, 1, 2, 3, there's 4 spot welds up here, and I'm going to go ahead and weld those on. And then we'll go ahead and weld that up. Before I weld that, I want to go ahead and grind that, because that's got that rust protective paint on it. And it's going to be hard to weld, and will more likely melt it than weld it. So go ahead and run our grinder over that area, just to give us a better, more secure weld. And what we're going to do, we're going to start with spot welds, and then we'll come back and give it a whole seam weld. Take my hammer. We're then going to start welding down this area right here. Once that's done, we'll move over to the other side of the vehicle and repeat our process just like you've seen me do here. And then, once that's done, we'll come back and weld our frame structure in place. Let me get the rest of this welded on. It's pretty much basically just like what you've seen me do. I'm repeating my process throughout the whole core support. I'll come back when I get all that welded on the outside, all the spot welds done. Then we'll concentrate on the frame rail that's down inside here, because that has got to be welded up very, very strong and very good. So I hope that you're learning from this experience. I hope that my friend Pete is helping you out, whether it's showing you the boring and exhausting spot welding going on here, or showing you how to take this piece of shit off and put the other piece of shit back on. Whatever it is, I hope my friend Pete's helping you and guiding you through anything and everything that might stumble over your body, crush you down like a rock, throw you in the fucking gutter, and make yourself say, I gotta get up, I gotta do something, and I gotta get her done. This is Pete, my friend Pete, your friend Pete. I got a lot of welding to do here. Today is Sunday. We're working Sunday morning, and we'll have that done today. Hopefully, we'll get the core support painted. It'll all match. We won't even know if the fucking thing was ever hit. We'll be back. Looking good. I like it. It's looking great. Wow.
Thanks for watching D.I.Y. Automotive School. Classes don't stop till you know everything.